Hello, my friends over at Face to Face Games. This is Travis Semulin Sowers, and we're jumping into a traditional best of three Kamigawa Neon Dynasty draft on MTG Arena. It's a lot of words. This draft video obviously brought to you by Face to Face Games. Go check them out for all of your nerdy needs, we'll say. So far, I have really enjoyed Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. It's fairly early, but it strikes me as just better than any of the sets that we had over the last year, really. I've built some very aggressive decks. I've built some incredibly dirtily decks, and a format that can run, 15 land, red, white, go, and blue, green, mill yourself out and recycle cards, and both of those decks be viable is one that I'm very likely to enjoy over time. I hope that you've had fun with it as well. I'll try and walk you through all the picks here and kind of what I'm thinking as we're going through. So for starters, we're probably going to take the Springleaf Avenger. This is a very strong green card. It lets you recur cards from your graveyard just by connecting with it. Like a 5-mana 6/5 that does that would be fine. The fact that you can sneak it in makes it even better. The mechanic I haven't loved, but it's been okay. It seems more of a blue-white card. All of the shrines I found to be playable, although this isn't one that I've been terribly interested in. It's been okay. This saga has been fine as far as I was concerned. It lets you get a little bit of value on a 2/2. It's all right. The Kapitech Wrecker, or Ninja Turtle, if you will, has been really good. There's a ton of artifacts and enchantments to blow up. So I think this may actually be the second best card in the pack. And then from there, it gets pretty rough, as there's not super powerful commons here. But we're going to take the Springleaf Avenger and hopefully get to stay in green, because that would be super awesome. Why not? We got past the Mythic Blue Dragon. So let's let that settle in for a minute. Someone looked at this, presumably read it, or said that's too many words, who cares, and then took something else. So this is a 6-mana 6/6 flyer. When it dies, you can return any number of target non-land permanents with total mana value 6 or less to their owner's hand, so bounce some stuff, or mill 6 cards and then get 2 instants or sorceries. That seems fantastic. So we're going to take that. I also quite like the Fall of Lord Khanda. There's usually things to remove. Even in the aggressive decks, they'll have some 4-drops. But it basically says kill target thing that you'd need to kill. I've been happy with Replication Specialist, although you have to work a little harder for it, right? Because you kind of have to get into that artifact deck. And the Asari Captain is great once you're in red-white. Outside of that, on the commons, I really like the Sunblade Samurai, and the rest of these kind of don't matter. It'd be super cool just to sneak into blue-green. All right, so Salvage I don't love. It has the same problem that many of the Raised Dead effects have. This one does give you like some benefits if you've got an artifact and an enchantment, but in my mind, that kind of puts it, I don't want to say solidly in black-white, but most useful in a black-white deck. And it's got a picture of like the black-white rare vehicle dude resurrecting this vehicle. So like that's kind of a clue to you, right? The Long Reach of Night has been quite good. It is currently bugged on Arena unless they've fixed it. Careful Cultivation would go nice with what we're doing, but I really can't pass the Circuit Mender here. Like you play it, you gain life. When it leaves the battlefield, you draw a card. It's a 2/3 for 3. It fits in any deck, and it plays nicely with Ninjutsu because it's a leave the battlefield not die. So you can ninja something in with this. We don't know that we're blue or green yet, frankly, so just having a solid playable is always good. Mirror Box I have not loved. There's just not enough legends here to do something like that. I do quite like the Moonsnare Specialist. Even if you can't ninja it in, it's pretty dang good. Rabbit Battery has been playable in aggressive decks. I've built several decks around the Goshen Tie of Lost Wisdom and various other self-mill cards, and then the Raishio Sentinel to try to mill myself out completely and then stack my deck from there. I don't think it's actually good or something that you should go for very often, but it sure is fun. But I think it's a pretty clear Moonsnare Specialist here. The only indications we've really gotten from the people that are passing to us is that they're not taking blue cards. So, like, this pack doesn't have any green at all. That's either bad for us or good for us if you think about it. It may mean that green is so cut, we're going to get past good green in the next pack. That said, it's also possible that there's just too many good cards in other colors for us to ignore. Heiko is pretty dang good at getting artifacts out of your graveyard. The Futurist Operative is also pretty dang good at blocking and being a solid base for ninjutsu. This is a decent card too. There's enough card draw in blue that I don't feel compelled to take it, but it is a strong card. You can play it early and potentially hit lands off of it too, which is nice. All right, I'm going to take this to cut blue predominantly, and because it does play nice with the Moonsnare Specialist. But if they pass me just a little bit more red, I'll go ahead and get in on it. Modern Age is mostly card draw. Rugged Highlands is not bad. Like, we're getting the idea that we can play blue, right? Like, everybody can see that. We're not quite sure what we're going to pair it with, but it's looking like it might be red, and if it was, we could potentially splash the Springleaf. We'd have to ninja it in that case. But I feel like we could sort of build around that. So I'm going to take the Highlands there just to have more opportunities. But I think it's getting pretty clear we just need to buckle in and get into blue-red. I like the Steelbreaker a lot. I like this for crewing vehicles, so not really in this deck. I like the Modern Age a lot. I think I want the Mnemonic Sphere most out of this batch. Give us a little bit of card draw. Well, now that I didn't quite expect. How far off are we from blue-white? I mean, I suppose we could talk. I'd want to go back in time and take that 1/4 to pilot things. But, like, we'll look. That's fine. I mean, there's a big vehicle to crew. There's also a pretty decent combat trek to toss through here. So, like, the challenge with this is, like, it's difficult to crew, but if you can do it, it's not bad. I also don't mind the Papercraft decoy. If we're like, hey, we're probably just blue, what do we need here? Probably just another solid 2-drop. I don't have any yet, so let's pick one up. I think the Samurai is a little bit better than Commune with Spirits or Heir of the Ancient Fang. So I'm going to take that and keep the red option open. I realize I didn't take any red cards, but we've seen so many of them going so much later than they really should that I've got a strong feeling that that's what we're going to get into. So I think this is what our build is starting to look like. I haven't loved the Network Disruptor. I feel like you need a lot of ninjutsu to get in on that. But I want to cut blue, and I could see a build that wants it. It would just have a lot more ninja cards than I have currently. This is okay, too. I'll play 2 of these Futurist Operatives. They're pretty good at crewing vehicles. And, like, I understand we don't really have any ninja stuff other than this dude, but, like, it's fine for now. Now, this is a pretty good and splashable removal spell and could still lead us towards blue-white. Like, this thing isn't bad. It's a 3/4 that you crew at once and it starts farting out pilot tokens. That's pretty good. There's a Malicious Malfunction, but I feel like we're pretty far away from black. I really want to see, like, if green is incredibly open this way, we may just edge into green. Like, it's still kind of like, hey, you've got a nice blue base, you've got some bombs. What do you need to make this work? And the answer is probably a couple removal spells. Because I've even got card draw in the blue as well. Like, this is looking pretty good. Let's take the removal spell. I don't think this is a busted removal spell, but I think it's good enough, right? And the fact that you can kill artifacts, creatures, or enchantments is pretty nice. So let's think about this. All right, I didn't like this one particularly much, right? Yeah, because you're looking for creatures with the same name, and that's just not something that's going to come up very often in Limited. Whereas Tamio's Completion lets us stick with the blue theme, and I do believe our strongest cards are still blue, and it gives us just a solid removal spell in blue. So if we need to, like, ditch the white, we can do that. I'm kind of thinking out loud here as I'm moving these cards around. I've been pretty happy with the Leech Gauntlet. I think I would be pretty dang happy with the Mechanaut. The recovery unit's been okay, but it's worth noting we don't really have any 2s. So it wouldn't be doing much for us here. Era of Enlightenment is fine. But that doesn't really go with what we'd want to do here. Blue-white is usually more interested in artifacts. So this is a bit of a tough one. I'd really like to take a blue card, but I feel like I can't. Yeah, I feel like this is the decision point for us of which direction we're going to go. And there's 2 uncommons. I'm going to go with the one I have removal for and see if we can pick up some 2s. If there's a really good red card here, like Heiko, I'm going to feel kind of stupid. But I can deal. I can deal. Because that's just better than what we're doing with this, isn't it? Yeah, it kind of is. Kind of is. Well, that's disappointing. But I guess it's better to recognize it and move in now than to just continue to take the cards. That does give me plenty of 4-drops, too. Like, we are not going to need any more of those. Thirst for Knowledge is not terrible card draw as long as you've got artifacts to discard. The problem is I don't typically want to be discarding artifacts. But presumably with Heiko, I don't mind as much. Question mark. I want to take like a crappy 2-drop. There just isn't one. Yeah, all right. I'll take a Thirst. That's probably all the card draw I need. Okay. Probably time to be a grown-up and start taking 2-drop artifacts. Not that this card is wonderful, but it can get the job done. I'm currently thinking we'll splash the March, and I'll see if we can find the pieces for it. I really don't need another 4-drop, right? Like, I know the operatives are kind of whatever now, but like we can certainly still play them and may have to. I do like the flyer, but I feel like this area really needs to be filled. It's also a decent card too, but sadly not for us. I got to take the 2-drop. Dude, all of them are here. I quite like Awakened Awareness. I've heard a lot of people kind of talk bad about this card. I think the fact that I can turn a non-threatening creature on my side into an instant threat on my turn is a big deal. And the fact that for 2 mana, I can just basically use this as... I can't remember the name of the card, but there's various cards that are enchantments that turn things into 1/1s. I think it's a decent blue removal spell. I don't think there's a world where I'm going to move back into white, but there very well could be. Like, as I'm looking at it, Heiko is the only card we really got that made me want to get in on red. Although Explosive Entry is pretty good, and I've also really liked the Aki Ronin. So maybe there is something here. That said, we take the Terrarium so that we can splash our choice of Springleaf or the March. This guy's not bad either. I'm down with what's happening here. I've played Planar Incisions before. You need some good ETBs, or LTBs, right? I know that one's a leave, or dies rather. I've played both of these before too. They're both fine. I don't feel compelled to play them. I'm going to kind of start pulling away cards I don't think we're going to play. So that we can have a better idea for what's going on here. The Seismic Wave is just a premium removal spell. I don't think a lot of people get that it's 3 damage to one thing and then 1 damage to everything else, excluding artifacts. Right? So I'm pretty happy with Seismic Wave, and let's be like, okay, we're just going to play blue-red. I do wish, well, again, if I had a time machine, I can probably think of better things to do than go back and being like, yo, dog, take the blue-red card. But if I could trade it in, I would certainly do so. The Thief was okay and helps with the splash, right? It does give me another ninja card, which is useful adjacent. Spinning Wheel Kick is very good. If you've been watching my YouTube videos on my own channel, you can Google Semulin YouTube and find them. You've seen some really cool stuff happen with Spinning Wheel Kick. That and the Master's Rebuke are probably the best cards here. I'm halfway thinking about taking Spinning Wheel Kick and saying, screw it, I'm just going to play blue-green, because I've almost got enough playables to do it. Yeah, call me crazy. call me crazy. Okay, never mind. This is too good for me to ignore. We're probably not doing that. I might still splash the ninja if I feel like I have enough ways to sneak it in. I didn't miss that much there, I don't think. All right, so there's another decent 2-drop artifact. There's a 4-drop. We clearly don't need more of those. We're not going to have a lot of augmented dudes. There's also a network terminal. And if I want to consider the splash for either the Avenger or the March, that might be something we're interested in. Yeah, I think I'm game with this. It feels a little weird as this is kind of clunky, but I can try to make it work. A lot of good white removal here. Now I'm double thinking myself again, like, are we supposed to just get into white? Because, like, I've got decent white. What is this draft, dude? Let's just say for a minute that this is what we were doing. Doesn't this look pretty good? It does need a couple playables. I hear you. Like, we can find them. So Wanderer's Intervention. There's the Kitsune Ace, which is not bad with the 2 vehicles we already have, and I might get more. There's also a Craig, which would be really nice for a splash. Like, splashing the Sniper is something I'm incredibly interested in. Maybe even the Heiko. But let's take the value 2-drop for this deck that wants to run a bunch of 2-drops. This version can probably jam the Koi. I'm unsure if I need the network terminal or not. There's another Futurist Operative. It's kind of crazy. There's just really nothing for me to ninja in except for this one dude. I just don't need that many of them. They can drive all of the cars, though. This has been a fun draft to kind of have to shift 5 different times. I think I'm going to take another Mnemonic Sphere. We've probably got more card draw than I actually need, but I'm okay with that. It's a fine, flexible card. I'm down for one of those. Okay, so this is basically here to just crew vehicles, right? And block. Which is, I mean, fine. There's nothing black we would want to splash. I don't think I'm jamming that. We could play this. Because I am short a few playables. Kitsune Ace is like, I got you, though. I was going to say we could probably use one more vehicle, especially one that the operatives could crew, and then there was one. So I guess this is just what we were doing the whole time. Man, that was quite a dance. We're blue-green. We're red. We're teamer. We're white. We're not. Let's make sure there's nothing we're not playing that we should be. I always like looking through and being like, is there anything that really just should be in the deck that isn't? And like, yeah, the Springleaf Avenger would be really nice. I'm a little concerned now that I don't really need the network terminal because I'm not really ramping to anything and I'm not really fixing for anything. So it seems to me like the network terminal either needs to go or I need to be splashing for something, which is kind of why I'm looking through and saying, is there anything that's powerful enough to splash? Like the Springleaf Avenger is if I can ninja it, but that's kind of like saying if I already have good attacks, I want this rare. So that means it's only going to help slam the door shut. Whereas like you don't want to just cast a 5-mana 6/5 and block their 5/5 with it. But the fact that you can do that if you're in green is part of what makes this card so good. And it's not like I have tons of 1-mana 1/1 flyers. I talked about some decks that might want to play something like a Network Disruptor, and a deck, blue-green deck full of ninjas is one of them. That's just not the deck we're playing. So I'm kind of thinking I might want to cut the terminal and just play these Guardians. Like, they can drive all the vehicles we have. They can block everything that needs to be blocked. The other option would be to play the Trespassers, but, like, we can kind of use this as a flex slot for, you know, our opponent is doing this thing, we'll adjust. We're also barely playing any white, which is kind of funny to me. It sort of makes me wonder if we want to go, like, 10-7. because I can't really keep a hand without blue. If my white wasn't for 2-drops, I'd absolutely do it. But I kind of don't think I can get away with it if we're going to play these aces. Hey, look at that. Perfect sleeves. All right, let's see if we got something. All right, let's see what we can do here. I would like to play first. It's kind of slow, but workable. Well, that's not very good, is it? I'm not going to get to play that for too long. Sucks. Like I can die, I can lose the game with it in my hand, or we can discard it. Same here. Like one thing I have learned about this format is if they attack you block, they have ninjas and they're going to try to kill you with them. Do you see the ninja? Like they just get a ton of value if we don't do something about that. All right, so I don't have enough mana to sneak this in. But I will next turn, and this means they're not attacking me. By that, I mean I can attack with the Futurist Operative, play this, and then I was going to say untap it, but that doesn't actually do anything because it's not there. I can't drive this currently. That's a little scary. Oh, no! And this is what I meant by you can do dirtily things. Like, they're at least a 4-color deck. And I have seen that be quite okay. Dang it, Bobby. I want to be able to get in the recovery unit and then drive that, but I can't. This is not great. I honestly think we're just dead unless we draw removal quickly, right? Because I can bounce Saitoro, but I'm not going to be able to block the Soul Ripper. And if I bounce the Disruptor, it's just going to come back into play and tap this. Like, I actually think this doesn't do anything, which is really bizarre. Now, as it turns out, if I'd kept the dragon, it would have been a good play this turn. So again, I kind of need the time machine. I'm trying to decide if I play this out with the idea of we're just going to take the hit, because I really don't feel like playing the Specialist does anything this turn. It's not blocking anything. It's not disrupting them at all. Whereas next turn I could play it, activate the recovery suit, and decide what we want to do with that. It's somewhat likely we're just going to die this game and then try something next turn. It's like, that's a lot of damage. And so I've got a Futurist Operative and the Specialist, which just doesn't matter. They rolled me over. We can let that one go. I'm going to need to draw some of our removal spells, which we have. Like the March would have done something there. The Arrest would have done something. Awakened Awareness would have done something. Maybe just need to be a little more greedier with my keeps. I don't love the thirst for knowledge. Meh, I probably still need to run it. They could have a little bit more discard in there. But I played a 5-color deck in one of the Sweatsuit Invitationals. I've had a deck that was almost mono green. Like, you can get some really interesting builds. Okay, this one's a little scary because, again, we need to hit the lands. I think the real problem with the last hand was it just didn't have enough early game. I could never really establish blockers. And then having that option of, okay, I've got a bunch of 4-drops, I'll discard the 6. I think I probably made the wrong choice there. Would be super cool if we could draw another land. I would quite like that. I can not get the card if I have to. I'd obviously rather have it, but I will block it. They're not going to ninjutsu a virus beetle. Can block with this if we need to, and I can have it attack as a first striker next turn. Both of those seem pretty good. Sold. Get a 1/1 pilot. I'm trying to decide how worried I am about that centipede. I don't want to let it be unblocked. That makes me nervous. I don't know that it's worth awakening, though, is the challenge. Like, I could attack with the vehicle and untap the Kitsune Ace. But I think I'm actually going to chump block it with the token. Which feels really weird, but I think might be the right call. Or I could just let them have their one ninjutsu. Like, how bad can it be? Yeah, I guess actually having the Tamiyo's completion in hand, I'm fine with them ninjaing out their 2/4. Okay, turns out I should have blocked. That's kind of like, all right by me. Exile our graveyards. We don't super care about that. Yeah. More pilots. All right. So if I awaken this into a 3/3 and swing team, we would be swinging for 9, which is pretty significant. Well, not really, right? Because we're swinging with this as a 1/1. It does leave them with bad blocks, though, so I think I like it. Ah, I have learned something today. For some reason, I was pretty convinced that this could attack if you had a modified creature. But that's not the case. You need to modify it. This is something I will not likely forget. I'm figuring we probably have to complete the vessel. So I still don't hate this attack, right? Like, we've technically got lethal next turn. Well, you say that. Not quite lethal. You will become conceited. The pilot was still dangerous outside of the mech. I mean, it can thirst and just get 3 cards now and discard the spear, so I think I'm going to do that. This time we get to play the dragon. Presumably they have some ninja thing to do here. Oh, they do, and it's a good one. So I can get back instants and sorceries, which aren't actually super useful, but they kind of need to kill this turn. Or threaten to kill me. This to me looks like they're mostly dead. And are trying to get me, so I'll do this. If they have you are already dead, it's okay for me to scream, right? So I guess knowing that that was what was in their hand, the actual answer was just not to block at all. Oh, I did not believe that a deck that was playing that many colors was going to play a card that bad. I really didn't believe that. Oh my god! I'm going to lose to this nonsense. I don't deserve this. Welcome to a new format, my friends. There you go. Yeah, there's times where I might play around something like You Are Already Dead. That just wasn't one of them. When I saw that greedy mana base, I'm like, there's no way they're playing a card that fringe. So the actual answer there was, if we wanted to play around it, was just to not block. And there's a possibility that they were telegraphing it a little bit by bothering to attack at all. I thought that it was likely the attack of, well, I'm dead next turn anyway, let's see how they block. And as it turns out, it was not. Would like to play first. This looks all right. Send in the decoy. The decoy dies. Apparently have a time machine, and we used it to be unblockable, which seems just kind of worthless to me. That's a lot of voltage surges. May as well crew it with this and get him for an extra point of damage with the pilot. Hey-ya! Go get him, team. Eventually. Slowly. Gently. This is how you run out of clock. They're actually not using that much more time than me, so I guess I can shut up. They want to race. All right. Now this is pod racing. I think I have better pods, but I suppose we'll find out in a minute. I'm halfway tempted to do the thing again. There's a strong possibility they have Wanderer's Rebuke here, which makes me not want to do this because it would turn it into a 4/4. So I think that means next turn we can consider awakening one of our pilots. Because I think they're going to rebuke my 3/4. They're not going to rebuke my 3/4. What are they doing? Now they want to block. All right. They're presumably thinking they were going to tap something down. It's not what they were thinking. Okie dokie, get me. I like what's happening here. I like that a little less. They want to attack. I like it. Hold these for discarding to Thirst for Knowledge if we draw it. There you go. Go figure. Short Circuit might be an okay counter to something like a Dragonfly suit, and the way they're playing, I think we can use it to our advantage. I would like to play a Short Circuit. I believe that it will be a removal spell here. Again, I might just cut the Thirst for Knowledge. I feel like with the Spheres, I've got enough card draw, and I need more cards that do things. Ain't pretty, but it'll work. That's an instant. So good. I assume the first 2 or 3 things we play get shocked. They don't have a shock. Okay, that's good to know. I think that wants to be a 1/1. That's pretty mana inefficient, but... Still has double strike. Oh, it should, so it does. That was kind of stupid. But it's going to be all right. I have a plan. We take their card draw. Then we take their Moth Rider. For some reason, I thought it removed all abilities too, and it doesn't. So it is still a 2/2 double or 1/1 double strike, which I don't think is ideal. But we ought to be fine-ish here. Okay. Let's see if they put the counter on the flyer. That'd be swell. No. That's kind of sad. Man, vehicles are hard to grok, right? Because if I play this, it's not blocking anything or really doing anything. But then it can later when I start to run these out. I think I'd rather just play the koi. It's been a long time since I had to do the mental thinking for Monster Truck. Like, I guess it's been back in Kaladesh. I need this to block now. Recovery unit doesn't really do anything and kind of can't. So I'm going to let it go. Playing that Awakened Awareness there was really stupid, but new format mistakes going to be made. It's a good sign. This is going to look a little crazy. But I do need that thing gone. Like, I can get my cards back. It's not a big deal. This one lets him play enchantments, right? Yeah. Land would be ideal. Meh. Alright, fine. I don't need the sphere. I just want to play the dragon and win with it. Yikes. I'm in danger. Let's block for a turn. It is a nice 0-4 that they have. Problem is they're sitting on card draw, so I can't really sit here forever. I do need to start attacking, but I don't have great blocks, which is awkward. Because the plan cannot be to let them sit and draw cards. That's terrifying. It's really bad for me. I need to make an attack. So this is really the only thing I can't block. I guess what we can do then is just turn off the card drawing. If that's what I'm really afraid of. That makes the most sense, because I'm not ready to attack yet. And I'm nervous about the card advantage they're going to get from the guide bot. So this means I don't have to stress about it. we're kind of in the same spot here. Of patience is required. Don't really have an appropriate emote. I guess that's close enough. And sorry for the misplays. There's going to be some new in a format. I'm getting to the point where I just yell at myself less and less for that over time. Because there's no need to be upset. It's only a game. Probably should have let the Circuit Mender die to get the card. But I can't throw away it. I just can't be convinced to make bad trades, you know? I do have an instant I don't mind getting back. I'm trying to decide if we let this happen or not. Because they're willing to 2-for-1 themselves to do it, which I'm pretty happy with. The problem is the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would put me at 1. And that's kind of a scary place to be because if they have another sniper or another direct damage spell, we could be in a lot of trouble. But I think I'm going to let that happen and prevent the damage here. We could also bounce the Circuit Mender and the Ace. So I can draw a removal spell and maybe one more card. Or I can draw a 2-2 and a 2-3. And another card. So if I deployed them, we'd have to basically double block that. It's weak to them drawing a combat trick, but I think I like this. It's pretty good in this scenario. I will eventually need to deal with the trash bot, but I feel like we just found ourselves stable-ish. They are doing some thinking. It feels like they're playing way slower than me, but they're not, which is kind of bizarre to me. I guess I needed some real thinky-dink time on that last one. This is a really easy double block for me. Go call. No real attacks yet. I was checking to see who mills first, and it's them, but just by a little. And my Circuit Mender could die. Which I don't think would be good for us currently. That's enough to get things going our way. And they can see the writing on the wall. I've been a little more focused on having fun than like going for the throat and drafting these days. I think part of that is just that there really aren't many competitive draft events anymore. And I talked about this some on my stream. I think it's worth mentioning here too. When I used to play on Magic Online way back in the day, getting a 2-1 meant you got your entry fee back. So when I got a 2-1, I felt like, yeah, I did it. Whereas here to get your, like, you can't get your entry fee back. You have to either, you know, it's double or nothing basically. So it only feels like you win when you actually get the 3-0, which I don't actually think is ideal. It kind of leads to some feel bads. So I've distanced myself from it a little bit. And like, I'm going to make some mistakes here and there. And like, I'm not even being hard on myself anymore about it. Like, I think the more important thing is to make sure that you're having fun while you're playing a game. So if you guys are seeing lines that are better than the ones I'm taking, that's awesome. If you're learning some stuff from the draft, that's awesome too. I still want to like help introduce new people to draft and teach the basics, which I think I'm able to do, but I'm not looking to like be super competitive anymore. Just because again, where would you do that? All right, I'm going to take a little break. We'll come back and finish this one. All right, one more. Let's see if we can get us a 2-1. I know 2-1s aren't the goal, but I still feel good when I 2-1. Like 66% win rate feels all right. Winning more than I lose. It's a little ugly, but we'll give it a try. A little better now. Yeah, significantly better now. They got some thinking to do. It's one of them selfless samurais. I feel like we probably have to fire off the Thirst for Knowledge here because I don't really think I can afford to miss a land drop. Just playing a 3/4 seems pretty good here. Show me what you got. Yeah. Let's find some lands. Hey, there's all the lands we could ever need. I'm almost tempted to discard 2 of those lands. But I'm going to be an adult and not do that. That's a Monk. I think I like this as a blocker first. Because I can attack and then play the Futurist Operative next turn. I can also decide that we'd like to be in charge of the sky. Not sure why they're delaying here. Like, I guess they're playing in full control? But what can they even do? Oh, I guess you can sacrifice this. That's the thing. So it's waiting for priority in case they want to sacrifice that and give another target creature indestructible. Which is, like, good to know. It means if I try to trade this, they're just going to, like, bounce. I thought this was another target samurai. It's not. It's target creature. Which means if I'm going to trade anything, we're going to have to get rid of that first. They're going to make infinite 1/1s, which is kind of fine. And we're going to start chonking for 3. So that's a 4/3. What'd it do? Becomes crude. Becomes a copy of target non-legendary creature that crewed at this turn. Okay. Some things are going to need to be completed here in a little bit. They could do shenanigans with the shrine in that, which would be a little worrisome. I was thinking they might try to block with it and then use the indestructible, and then I could get them with the completion. But I guess we'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. Recovery unit's not looking great. Yeah. Well, that sucks. I was going to win with that. Let's get our pseudo surveil, I guess. Oh, it's a loot. We'll take these. It doesn't do much, but I should have held one more land, I guess, because, like, milling myself isn't actually good. We learn. I guess making this into a 4 or a 5/4 is enough to start cracking. So we can do something with that. You want me to block them? I'm very happy to. I'm at a bit of a loss for what they might be doing. But I'll block them all. Maybe they got a team pump and they're going to get me. But if they got a team pump and I don't block, I suspect they're going to get me there too. I also feel like if they had a team pump, they'd have swung team. So I have no idea what this is. Make it make sense. Why though? I forgot exactly what this did. There was something in a recent set where like you could look at the top card and then choose to mill it or not. And this is better than that. It just loots. But I have to remember that that's what it does. And I'm not entirely able to do that, apparently. Yeah. The bear seemed pretty happy about that. Everybody been telling me that Imperial Oath wins the game. Let's see if it do. Hey, it sure did. Thirst for Knowledge was good there, but I don't want to. Multiple Born to Drives. I still don't understand why they threw away all those 1/1s. Like, they carefully and deliberately attacked with all of the 1/1s, knowing that bad things were going to happen, and then just didn't care. I think I can see using Short Circuit against them. But again, I'm not in a place to criticize anybody's misplays. Lord knows I make plenty of them. It's part of the game. I don't know if you guys can hear the dog. That means I have to go change the laundry. You may hear it again, because I'm not going to go change the laundry right this second. But it's also not going to change itself. A good game for the last one. It was a pretty good game. So it keeps its abilities even if I make it a 1/1. It's not great for me. All right. What do we do here? Like, bouncing the token doesn't really get us anywhere. They're just going to make more tokens. I need to be able to block this thing on the ground when they attack with it. And I can do that with both of these. So let's do that and block the koi and buy ourselves a little bit of time. I've got a little bit of card draw here. We've got some things that just answer it. We've got one of our own. This doesn't look too bad to me. Means they at least don't have an attack. Ooh, lordy. I have to crew this now or I can't. Okay, so when I said they don't have an attack, what I meant was, oh my god, they're going to kill me. Please send help. Oh my god. Ah! That's what I meant. Yeah, turning it into a 1/1 doesn't stop the problems. Okay, maybe Awakened Awareness isn't as good as I thought it was. It read like it would be good. It just hasn't played well. Because I feel like our opponent's a little bit ahead of us here. But, I mean, I'm also flooding out. So they've kept up with me with land drops, though. So I guess they've drawn more cards, right? Just 2. I think that the monster here is a bigger problem than this. Like, I can turn it into a 1/1 flyer. I'm beginning to be more and more embarrassed of this card. I can also potentially be like, I'm just going to make a 4/4 ward and start attacking you with it, but neither of those seem really good. Obviously, I don't want to make this a 1/1, as that's an upgrade for it. Yeah, I think this kind of sucks, but I have to do it. And I also think Awakened Awareness kind of sucks. I didn't think it did, but it kind of seems like it does. I don't know that I'll be picking that card nearly as highly. We've got an Acquisitions Octopus. It's kind of scary. I got a bunch of good cards. I could use the good cards from my deck real soon, please. How much is it to equip? It's only 2? I wonder why they didn't equip it. Good grief! This is too many good cards. I cannot beat them all. They're discarding pacifisms! Casually discarding pacifisms. I have to arrest the octopus or they're just going to get further ahead of me on cards. But I honestly don't think there's anything we can do here. I've also learned something here too. It doesn't unequip it. There's been a lot of learning occurring here. Tamio's completion unequips it. This doesn't. It just means they're stuck having to draw more cards. I would also strongly suspect that it doesn't matter. But we'll try. We are going to get value off of our recovery unit, potentially, which is very exciting. Just casually discarding pacifisms. I believe they got me. It was attacking, but not crude. This set has some dumb stuff in it. All right, let's draw our Wrath and be done. That is not our Wrath. I want to get this Awakened Awareness out of my deck. It's bad, it should feel bad, and I'm really unhappy with it. Oh my god. Some of you were probably screaming, like, Travis, that card's not good. Stop. The card's bad. And I was like, nah, dog, I know what I'm doing. I didn't. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. We could look at a counterspell, which I don't hate on the play. That would make me want to put the other Thirst for Knowledge back in here. I felt like we had enough card draw with the Mnemonic Spheres, but we just never draw them. Maybe I don't need this, and I could play the Thirst for Knowledge and this. I can kind of get behind that. And it got to the point by the end of the last two Innistrad formats that I just didn't want to play anymore. So I'm taking a bit slower pace with this one, doing a draft or two every day instead of just going nuts on it. And I'm still excited when I sit down to draft the set, which I think is a really good thing. But I guess there's not really a set I've burnt out on after 2 weeks. So if your set can't last for 2 weeks, it really sucks. Right, so I paused it there because my opponent was taking their time sideboarding, which is fine. They can do that. This is a little crazy to keep, but we've got a 1-mana cycler. And if I can get to 2 lands, we can already start to do stuff. So I think I'm going to try this one, but I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to send it back. If I didn't have the Mnemonic Sphere there, I would absolutely mulligan that hand. Sets us back 1 turn. Although that's a pretty big setback with that one. Okay, we found the second land, but missing on the next one is really rough. I would quite happily cycle this. Because I really need that land. That's the one. We try to start racing or try to start doing damage mitigation. I think this far behind I need to do damage mitigation. If I can rip a bunch of lands, we might be onto something here. Like, them scrying's pretty good, but taking one a turn I can handle for a little bit. This would have been a really good turn to hit a land. But I think I need to do... Like, I want to cast the Thirst for Knowledge and hit more lands, but I think I need the blockers now. Because they're starting to get to the point where they might consider just attacking in with the Samurai. In theory, I can attack with the Sentinel too. But looks like Magic is still Magic. You miss on lands or draw too many of them, it'll still get you. Which does make it more punishing to make the mistakes that we made in round one, but like... That's kind of just part of this game. So if we draw another land, now we're incentivized to try to kill this. Which is not exactly where I want to be. I guess we let them crew it and then march it. So if I do this, I'm committing to taking the damage from the 4/3. Would I rather than... But this would be a 4/4, so I think I'd rather just have it gone, except I can't. Okay, so there's literally nothing I can do about this. That's awful. Figures I hadn't done a video for Fossifos in so long. And poor KYT asks, and this is what I get for you guys. Well, you know, I think of it as a video full of learning opportunities. Opportunities for you to learn what to do, what not to do. Yeah, this is the same opponent that just really seemed hell-bent on throwing away their pilots. So we'll gobble their spirits too, I guess. This is another card that, much like the insect we got, is brutal when you're ahead. And I think that just puts us so far behind I can't really do anything. Like, yeah, I can bounce the token, and that sort of does something. But we just missed too many lands. Like, I could channel this too. Tap 2 creatures. I just don't think it buys us enough time. I'll still give it a try, because, I mean, why not? But I just think there's too much crap on the board for us to realistically do anything here. I get just as many blockers if I attack with this as if I don't. So I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, that ought to do it. Finally, the Selfless Samurai attacks. It does tickle me that I haven't done a video for Fossifos in quite some time, and the first one I do is a 1-2. But like I said, there's a lot to learn about the format. I have enjoyed it. I've had 3-0s, so like it is possible. And I'm still in the process of evaluating some cards. The big one for me that has changed here was Awakened Awareness. I initially really liked this, but I think my brain was convinced that it turned it into a 1-1 with no text. The fact that it's still keeping flying or double strike or whatever the heck it is kind of makes this card a little worse. I also tend to rely on pictures of cards to know what they do, and there's some that I thought I understood that I didn't. And that'll get adjusted too as we play through some. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you'll send some business to Face to Face. It's a great shop. I've played some drafts there and got to hang out at the one in Montreal. It's a lovely shop. Good people work there. And if you like what I'm doing here and you want to watch me lose some drafts on stream, you can come to my stream at twitch.tv/Semulin. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.